Hey guys, welcome back. So we're done with the Nova for a little while and it's back on the house. So we're gonna get started today working on the bathroom electrical and roofing in this Bathworks bath fan with Bluetooth speaker. So let's go get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is the fan box has got a hole so that I can have the screw already put in, like a keyhole. So we're going to go ahead and start by putting up these screws to hang the fan box. So I just measured out where we want that. Now we can slide the fan box up. So the screws should be positioned so that the bottom of the fan box is a ½ inch below the ceiling joists, because these need to stick down flush with the drywall. The other thing is, make sure that the outlet of your fan is pointed in the direction that you want to vent to outside. Here we go. I may have that just a hair high. I do, so I'll probably move those down. Okay, I ended up having it just a hair low then after that, so I used my carpenter's pencil. These are ½ inch by ¼ inch, so you can use it to measure some stuff like this. And then we'll put the other two screws in. So while I'm here and it's handy, I will go ahead and wire this up. So it comes with just a hole in the side of the fan case here. I put a cable clamp on there so we didn't have any sharp edges, and I'll show you how this kind of goes. I'll leave a little extra there. Okay, I'm gonna shorten these up quite a bit here. There's some room for wire in here, but I want to get carried away. Okay, so in with the fan. This is originally up in this corner, screwed up in here. So essentially we're running our wiring to these pigtails here. There are two separate pigtails. Well, let's see, this one is for the fan itself and this one's for the speaker. So you can do this one of two ways. You can tie light colors together here, red, red, white, white, green, green, and then tie them to your power so that your fan and your speaker are on the same switch. Or if you think you'd rather have your speaker on a separate switch, you can separate those out. For us, I think we're just going to tie it all together. And this is a quiet fan, so if we want the speaker on, we'll just flip everything on. So On this, I'm twisting these two wires together from the pigtails first before I put them in the wire nut. Sometimes when I put 3 wires in and 2 of them are these smaller gauged stranded wires, I have trouble getting the wire nut to grab hold of them very well. So if they're tied together, especially with this one 12 gauge copper wire, it tends to work a little better. Okay, so not a huge fan of the room that they left here to install wires in, but we got it. Let's show you what we got going on up here. So this is that corner piece that I was putting in, and as you can see, I of course lost a screw in that whole fight, but we'll figure something out. This is what I was talking about for the wires. I believe this one is the fan, so that plugs in there, and then the speaker, and one is a 2 terminal, the other one's a 3 terminal, so you should be able to figure it out from there. There are some cross braces that go in here and come over to this other joist to help support, but I'm going to hold off on doing that until we get the ducting out for the vent. So we're going to get started on that now. So we're going to vent straight out the wall to the exterior here. So the first thing I need to do is cut a hole out of this blocking. Not sure exactly how big it needs to be, so we're just going to go a little on the big side. Alright, so I got the adapter put on for the vent pipe, and I'm going to need to take some fairly precise measurements. I want to get it pretty close before we do this, and I'll explain that here in a little bit. But so I want to make sure that we've got the fan leveled and in the right spot, so we're going to go ahead and put these braces on here. So probably should have put these in before I screwed it down. Yeah, so these definitely should have been in there before I screwed that up, but we're okay now. So try and level this. So now that we've got all the braces installed and everything, we can work on the duct. And I want to be careful how this goes, because being in the bathroom, this fan is here for obvious reasons above the toilet, but the other reason is it needs to take away a lot of the moisture and the humidity from the shower in here. So naturally the fan is going to be blowing out a lot of air that's got a lot of moisture in it, and that's going to condense on things, especially in this pipe or on the outlet outside, whatever. So I want to make sure that we get this so that we're not going to have any issues with water leaking down in the ceiling once it collects on the pipe. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that the pipe that goes from here to the outlet has got at least a little bit of a slope, so that if water does condense in it, it'll come down and just drain out and not be a problem. So doing some measuring here. The center of this outlet of this pipe is right at 3.5 inches from the bottom of this joist. And the reason I measured there is because we come over and sit on this nailer board here, and then I can measure from there up to get my height. So I'm going to shoot for about, it's probably a little excessive, but around 1/2 inch of drop from here to there. So I'm going to measure up from this board about 3 inches, and that's where I want my center line to be. The other thing that we've got going on is the outlet. This is like what I'm using is like a dryer outlet. You'll see it here in a minute, but it's going to go outside, and I've got obviously sheet metal on the outside, and it needs to land in the flat between ribs. So luckily here I can kind of feel it. I'm going to mark it here. I've got one rib there and one way over here. So, and I've got to get a 4-inch pipe to that. So hopefully I'll be able to work out a location in here, and I'm going to drill the pilot hole from the inside. Let me get that measured out and marked out, and I'll bring you back and show you what that's going to be. All right, so now if I can get you in here to see this. So we are, what was it, 3.5 inches from the bottom of this joist. And so I got to feeling around, and this mark here is the center of a rib. That mark there is the center of a rib. And the ribs are 9 inches on center. So I measured back from this mark 4.5 inches, and then we measured up from this surface, the bottom of the floor joist, up 3 inches. And that gives me where I really need my outlet to come out. So the center of this, and then where this hole lines up, is going to be off about 1.25 inches. I've got to move 1.25 inches over this way. So hopefully I've got enough room in the pipe there that I can just run that over. But the center of that hole, that's where I need the center of the pipe to come out the wall in order to be able to mount that outlet flat. So I'm going to use this drill with a big long extended bit. I think it'll just be easier to get back there. I'm going to drill this little pilot hole, and then we'll go around to the outside, find that hole, and get things set up for the outlet. All right, we made it outside. We got our hole found right there. So this is the outlet that we're going to be putting in. You can see it pretty much takes up all the room between these ribs. So in order to make this hole, we are back to using this guy. If anybody watched the gooseneck install video, you remember this. So we made the hole wrong. I still don't think, it's not the tool, that was operator error, but this is pretty much what this tool is meant for. So I'm gonna see if I can get this hole stuck in here. It might be a little tough because of the size of between the ribs here, but we'll give it a shot. So okay. There we go. All right, so if you can hear me, the hole on the back of this measures right at 4 inches. So I went ahead and cut this 4.5 just to give us a little bit of room. It looks like that's gonna fit well. So we'll get the pipe fitted on the back of this, wind up sticking it through, and then we'll get this screwed down and sealed up. So this is the pipe stuck through. It's still not cut to length or anything. I just wanted to stick it through here, make sure everything was gonna go all right. That's probably as much of an angle as I would wanna put it, I think, from that. But it looks like it's gonna seal up okay. I'm gonna go outside now, and I'll mark the pipe so that outlet, basically you need the pipe to be flush with the exterior wall. So it's got that little collar. It actually slides into the house just a little bit. So the pipe needs to be cut off flush with wherever that outlet's going to be screwed to. So I'll go mark it, we'll cut it, and look a little bit about what we need to do when we put this pipe in. So we got our pipe straightened up here, or shortened up I should say. If you notice, that is not cut at 90 degrees. So while that was sticking out through the wall, I went ahead and marked it all the way around so that I could cut it parallel with the outside wall so that it should fit in here fairly square. One other thing that I did while I'm doing this, so again, my main concern is with moisture getting in here and getting out into the ceiling or going somewhere and causing problems. So this is the flat pipe that you can buy at Menards or about any home store or whatever, and it locks together into a round shape. So first I went ahead and I shot a couple screws in there just to make sure that the pipe doesn't come apart. And the other thing is when I set this up on the fan, I oriented that so that that seam is at the top. So if we wind up getting moisture in there, that's all just a continuous pipe and we shouldn't have any issues. So now, since I cut that off, I had a really long piece, so I wasn't sure how much I would need. You can see it's not made to fit in there. The outlet is the same size as the pipe. So what we're gonna have to do is put this crimped end on the end. And so I had to go down to the hardware store and buy these guys. These are crimping pliers specifically to do this. Now they've got a lot nicer ones that do like 3 or 4 crimps at a time, but those were $47. And I've seen, I swear, dozens of those things at auctions and stuff, and they get given away because nobody hardly ever uses them, and I never thought I would, but looky here. So I ended up having to go buy a $17 pair of super cheap pliers here to do this, but it is what it is. So we're gonna crimp this down and see if we can get it to fit inside that outlet then. We've got it stuck in there, and for some extra insurance, I went ahead and shot some screws. Had to do a double tap there, but that'll make sure we don't move around. And then I don't know if you can see very well, probably not. There's some little gaps in there, and again, we're worried about water. I'm sure I'm way overdoing this, but I don't want to have to deal with any water issues or anything. And if anybody ever goes to take this off from the outside of the house, they're gonna cuss me, but that'll be all right. I won't be here to hear it. So I'm gonna shoot some silicone in around that gap, and then I might tape up this top seam, and then we will take it outside and get it stuck in through the hole. So we've got it set in on the vent fan in there. We'll get this set up nice and square, and then that way it can suck back with these screws as soon as I find what I did with them. Okay, now we'll just seal it up, especially on the top and the sides. I'll leave the bottom open so if anything gets in there it can drain out. In here, we're looking pretty good. Come through there. We're fit up on the fan pretty nice. I am going to go ahead and shoot a self-tapper in there. On this, you've got to be kind of careful. There's a little flapper door, a one-way door inside here. So if you don't put, or if you do put a self-tapper in there, you got to make sure you don't block that. So I noted before I put this all together that if I put it back here, I'd be past the little stop and I'll be okay. So I'm probably just going to put one in the bottom here, and then we'll get this taped up and we should be good to go. And the very last thing that we don't get to do today would be to put this grate, grill cover, whatever, over the top. So it's got the speaker in it, just a little 2-prong plug there to hook up, and snaps in with some springs. But that'll have to wait until after drywall, paint, all that good stuff. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you see, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.